Today in the show, I'm going to be answering the question, what makes a comic timeless? So we actually talked about this a few weeks ago on the Weekly Pool podcast, and I realized I haven't done quite a deep topic in a while, so here we are. It all started with the idea that The Dark Knight is a timeless comic, and we didn't all agree with that. I don't agree with that. I would say The Dark Knight is very much a product of its time. It's an impactful comic because it created change in the comic book industry, but that's not what I would consider timeless. I would say a timeless comic is a comic with lessons and messages in it that are relevant no matter the decade you were born in. No matter what, the messages are still relevant and we all need to learn them. I think just because something is innovative doesn't make it timeless, and if anything, something that's innovative is very much a result of the time it was in, making it timeful and not timeless. So here are two examples of timeless comics. First off, Flex Mentallo, Man of Muscle Mystery. Flex Mentallo is a 4-issue long comic series, and each issue is a different age of comics and a different stage of human life. The first issue being childhood and innocence, and the final issue being finding enlightenment. A common thing in life is people will go to work and they will get to the top of their work where they believe the pinnacle of life is. All messages to do with life is at the pinnacle of their jobs. They are going to find true happiness when they reach that peak, and then they get there and find there's nothing at the peak. It's because of this we see all these celebrities turn to drugs and alcohol and sometimes even suicide because they've gotten to the top and they found nothing. What Flex Mentallo tells us is that you need to find happiness and enlightenment from yourself. If you're feeling crappy or in a crappy situation, it's because you're staying in the crappy situation. If you're standing in mud and getting dirty, it's your job to move yourself out of the mud and stop yourself from getting dirty. I read this comic in the 4 monthly issues as a child, and I naturally didn't understand this. And then I reread it when I was an adult, and naturally, I understood it then, and it actually helped me get out of my depression because I realized I was depressed because I wasn't moving anywhere with myself. I wasn't taking the people out of my life that were making me feel bad. I wasn't taking responsibility for my own life, and I was the one stopping me from getting what I wanted. There are going to be strangers that come into your life and treat you badly and attack you, and you can't help that. But don't let it control you and don't become a victim. And that's what Flex Mentallo is all about, and that's what we all have to learn. What Flex Mentallo teaches us is that we've all got the potential to get what we want out of life. We just need to move ourselves to the right position to get it. And when we get what we want out of life, we need to realize that we earn it for ourselves, and that is true enlightenment. And no matter if you're reading this comic in the 1990s or the 2090s, this is a lesson we've all got to learn and accept, and lots of people don't like hearing the truth about this situation. Second of all, Young Justice, which I know some people in the podcast were quite surprised about. Now, the entire message of Young Justice is to not take life too seriously. When you start taking things too seriously, there is no Young Justice. This comic was very aware that it was about a bunch of 13 to 15-year-olds trying to act like a bunch of 27-year-olds. And when you see teenagers do that, it's kind of funny. Sometimes it's impressive because they can do the job better than the adults, but other times it's quite funny to just watch. This is why I feel like the show missed the point of Young Justice, because the comic was so much about don't take things too serious, relax, and you will find the answers you're looking for. It was also there to remind us that we need to remember that spark of pure joy that came with being a teenager. We need to remember just feeling everything so intensely all the time. There are so many people in this world that are so serious and so focused on their jobs and so business-minded that they've just become like these soulless blobs on a rock floating through space. But if they just remembered how passionate and happy they were as teenagers, or just how many emotions they felt as a teenager, their lives would improve. I'm not saying we all had good teenage years. I certainly did not have good teenage years, but I will admit I felt everything very, very intensely. And when I was happy, it was way up here. And that's what I've got to remind myself every day as an adult, because it's not easy to feel like that as an adult, because you don't have the hormones boosting your emotions anymore. When I'm happy, I'm very, very intensely happy, and at the same time when I'm sad, I'm quite intensely sad. So I do my best to make sure that I'm happy as much as possible. And that's why I love Young Justice, because it's there to remind us how intensely you can feel happiness. There are only a handful of timeless comics like this in the world, which is why I love the concept of timeless comics, because it proves that these issues, these bits of paper, are truly special and they can teach us all something. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. So which comics do you think are timeless? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. Also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon if you want to see bigger and better and more history videos. Also don't forget to subscribe to my vlogging channel if you'd like to start your day with me every single day. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics and it is super effective.